Hello, everyone, and welcome to the wrap of round one of the AFL National Draft for this season. And it pretty much went to plan as for the majority of the picks, especially the top 12 or so picks. Obviously, we'll go through pick 1 all the way through to pick 21 for night 1. Round 2 and counting of the National Draft will be continuing tomorrow night, then the Rookie Draft on Wednesday night. I'm just going to obviously recap the picks that have gone so far, and then some potential players that haven't been picked up so far that may start off getting picked up from tomorrow, and any goss I'm hearing. Now, we're going to go through all 21 picks, as I said, but I'm just going to name them for now. So, pick 1, the Giants, as expected, selected Aaron Cameron. North Melbourne bidded on Will Ashcroft. Brisbane matched and selected Will Ashcroft for pick 2. North Melbourne, with picks 3 and 4, selected Harry Sheasel and George Wardlaw. The Bombers with pick 5, that's where it was starting to heat up. They picked up Elijah Sardis. I'll go through that shortly. Pick 6, Gold Coast selected Bailey Humphrey. Pick 7, Hawthorn selected Cam McKenzie. Pick 8, Geelong selected Jai Clark. Pick 9, the Eagles selected Ruben Ginbey. Pick 10, the Saints picked up Matthias Filippo. I will get to that very shortly. Pick 11, the Blues selected Oliver Hollins. The Bulldogs, as I predicted, bidded on Jasper Fletcher. The Lions obviously matched and then selected Jasper Fletcher with pick 12. The Bulldogs with pick 13 selected Jed Buslinger. The Eagles with pick 14 selected Elijah Hewitt. Melbourne with pick 15 selected Matthew Jefferson. The Giants had matched a bid from the Swans for Harry Rowson at pick 16 at midfielder. At pick 17, the Crows matched a bid from the Swans also for key defender Max McElhaney for the Crows. At pick 18, the Hawks did a trade with the Swans. And with pick 18, the Hawks selected key defender Josh Weddle. Pick 19, the Pies selected Ed Allen. Pick 20, the Swans selected small forward Jacob Costanti. And pick 21, the Giants selected Darcy Jones, small defender from WA. Now, the majority of these picks from pick 1 all the way to pick 12 to the Bulldogs pick, or pick 13 technically, because that's what they ended up with, all went pretty much as expected. The real debate in the top 10 and how it would be shaped is if pick 4 was traded from the Bombers. That never happened. Doro spoke just before and said they considered it, but they didn't want to go with it. They were debating between Elijah Sardis and Matthias Filippo. They went Elijah Sardis. Now, I did say that one of Sardis or Filippo would go to the Saints, and that did eventuate Matthias Filippo going to the Saints. And as you guys may have been waiting for me to say, I am damn excited about this move. Now, you could say, oh, well, you didn't get the local guy, you didn't get Cam McKenzie, NGA Academy guy, Elijah Sardis, a Victorian inside mid. Yeah, either of those two options would have been great, but Matthias Filippo is the X factor of this year's draft. Now, for some people will say, oh, you're only saying this now because going to St Kilda. No. If you go check my Phantom Drafts and all my videos about the draft the last month or two, you'll know I've been saying he's the X factor of this year's draft. I said it in multiple interviews with other draftees, including the interview with Matthias. So don't believe me, go check that out. I'm excited about this move. The Bontempelli Nat Fyfe type of play has been described as by experts as well. So I'm excited to have him at the club, and obviously had him on the podcast already. Good person, and will be a great get for the Saints. So Elijah Sardis. So the Bombers decided to go local for Elijah Sardis, and you couldn't go wrong either way. They just obviously went the more inside mid compared to the versatile player, which is Filippo. And Sardis can play an inside mid and be a regular for them each and every week. Cadman, Sheasel, Wardlaw, and Ashcroft. It's been beaten down so many times. We knew that's where it was going. Cadman get the key for the Giants pick 1. The real debate was whether they would bid on Ashcroft. They did not. The Roos ended up doing so. Both those two clubs get Ashcroft goes to the Lions. Cadman goes to the Giants. Sheasel and Wardlaw, as expected, go to the Roos. Bit of forward mid for Sheasel, and obviously an inside mid for Wardlaw. We just mentioned Sars. So Bailey Humphrey, as expected, did end up going to the Gold Coast Suns, a midfielder that can play forward as well, and kind of replace Isaac Rankin in a way. Now, the real debate and they did say to Gold Coast in the last few days that they wanted a bit more versatility in their midfielder they would select, and Bailey Humphrey was the obvious choice at that stage there. Cam McKenzie, the Hawks, did say they wanted an inside mid, so I had a feeling that was going to be Cam McKenzie, and that's what they went with. Jai Clark went to Geelong as expected. They can deny all they want that he wasn't their first choice. He clearly was, and they got who they wanted. Ruben Ginbey if the cards were falling well, I was going to expect him to go to the Eagles, as I predicted as well. Mateus Filippo picked out the Saints. You guys know I'm absolutely pumped and excited about this move, as I said just before. Great move. Will be exciting play. Hopefully a long-term play for the Saints to the end of his career. And the X factor of this year's draft, as I said, so I'm so excited to see Mr. Mateus Filippo at the Saints at pick 11. The Blues did say they wanted not an inside mid, they wanted a midfielder that can run, two-way runner, and that is Ollie Hollands to a T of pick 11 for the Carlton Football Club. Another good move for them. Pick 12. The Bulldogs, as I reported in my most recent fan draft, the Bulldogs would match a bid, on Jasper Fletcher, the Lions Academy player. They did so. And, of course, the Lions match. They get a midfielder there who could play from round 1 onwards. At least a good potential player. And the Bulldogs go key defender with pick 12, as I said. It ended up being pick 13, rather. The Bulldogs selected key defender from WA, Jet Buslinger. A good pick for them. Now, I did say later on that I was surprised why they would target it, but then I had a little bit more of a think about it, and I thought, yeah, they got options, but their options aren't great. Keith is on the decline. Cordy's gone. Gardner's not much chop, so they needed a key defender for the future. And Jet Buslinger, if he's to stay at the Bulldogs from WA, it's a great get for them. He was considered the Eagles' first pick, but also they went Ruben Jinby, the Eagles. Speaking of the Eagles, then they had the option of Ed Allen and Elijah Hewitt, 2 WA guys, or someone else. They went with the local mid, Elijah Hewitt. Again, can't go wrong there. Mid-180s, 80-kilo odd midfielder. Be a great get for them, and he grew up barracking for the Eagles, so it's good for the Eagles and their fans. Matthew Jefferson, long link to Melbourne at pick 15, and that ended up being the case, and I don't think anyone beforehand was going to snap him up. It's a great get for Melbourne, a long-term future Victorian key forward. Now, Harry Ralston for the Giants had a matched a bid from the Swans, which eliminated pick 17 for them, so they would be very annoyed with their tribal. The Swans probably did this on purpose. They may have rated Harry Ralston. They wanted midfielders, but I feel they did this as a bit of add to their rivalry a bit. But still a great move for the Giants. I just would have hoped it was a bit after their mid-20s pick, but the Swans bid it early there. But they still get a good player, Harry Ralston, for the Giants, and one of their academy players. The Swans went on a bidding spree, if you will. Max Milani from the Crows. The Crows matched that, and they selected their young key defender. Then the Swans thought, you know what, we've bidded on 2 players. Let's now do a trade. And they did a trade with the Hawks, basically where the future second and third were gone out and picking the 20s for the Hawthorn to the Swans. And the Swans gave Hawthorn pick 18. So, an interesting move, you could say, for the Hawks. They desperately obviously wanted Josh Weddle and didn't think he'd be available at their pick in the 20s. So, I mean, it was a right move for them. They clearly wanted another key defender in. Granger Barras and a few other guys as well, Sicily. Interesting move for me. They gave up a future second and third and a pick in the 20s just to pretty much slide up 5 or so picks. But they clearly really wanted Josh Weddle, who could be a future key defender for them for a long, long time. Ed Allen, bolter of this year's draft in a way, and then was talked about potentially going around the Bulldogs pick, and even as early as the Eagles' first pick at pick 8. Went all the way to the Pies. They linked to Braden George and a few other guys, but they snapped up Ed Allen, WA mid-forward. Jacob Stanty, the Swans picked a pick 20 as small forward. Decent move for them. To add to that crew of Tom Papley and co. down as the small forward brigade. Good get for them there, tackling pressure machine. And Darcy Jones, a little bit of surprise, maybe went a tad. So yeah, Darcy Jones, a small defender from WA, wears the helmet, likened to Caleb Daniel. It's a solid move for the Giants. They need to add to their defenders' stocks, especially probably, they're a bit short on key defenders and a bit short on defenders in general, so I don't mind the move. A young fellow that can play as a small defender like Caleb Daniels has said, so that could be an interesting move for them there. Now, I'm going to go through some names quickly and the draft picks that are left for the next, well, I'm not going to go through what the next 50 picks are, but the next 10 to keep an eye out on the trades. Now, generally, the first pick of the second night is really covered than it has in previous years. Technically, you can have clubs that really want a player that's still on their board. They rank highly, still available. The Giants have the first pick of tomorrow night, and so the Giants will have some clubs asking the question about their pick, that clubs that want to jump in. the Giants will get a good offer too, and they may take it. But since they had lost a pick for Harry Ralston, they may not be willing to do so, but they'll still field offers, I'm sure. So some names that haven't been picked up so far yet. As I said, so yeah, some of those names included are, I'm just going through my list in front of me, some names to keep an eye out on for the early part, at least, of the second round. You look at names like Charlie Clark, a small forward, Isaac Keeler, a key defender, Phoenix Foster, a key forward/ruck like Keeler, Braden George, Mitch Skupkowski, Max Gruski, Ollie Houghton, Lockie Cowan, Henry Huswaite, Lewis Hayes, Jacob Ryan. There's some of the names you could look out for the early part of round 2. And obviously there's a bunch more names you could look at. I'm just looking at my phone. No bid so far on Alwan Davey Jr. The Bombers will be hoping there's no bid on him before their next pick. Otherwise their pick would get eliminated. A few other names. Thomas Scully, Harry Lemmy, Jed Adams, Sam Gilby, Ethan Phillips, a mature agent from the VFL, Blake Drury, Noah Long, and Phoenix Foster, as mentioned already. So, yeah, some interesting names to keep an eye out on. I'll have more coverage of the draft tomorrow night on the Facebook and Instagram pages, AFL information, trade rumours, and results. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll have a full recap after the rookie draft on Wednesday night. Until then, guys, stay tuned to the channels and take care. And please subscribe. It's greatly appreciated.